Okay, joining me in the studio very soon will be Rebecca Cruxton, who is from the English contingent, who's over here helping with the bushfire evacuation centre today with the Stanwell Tops bushfires. I'll just give you a little rundown on Rebecca before we cross over to her, who will interview about the bushfires. So Rebecca is a member of the Gateshead Cadet Unit in the northeast region of the UK. And she's been a member of St John for 8 years after wanting to learn life-saving skills. She's in Year 13 at school, which is I believe the equivalent of Year 12 here in Australia. So again, no need to worry for our Australian cadets that they don't have to do another year after Year 12, which they've all been worried about today, I think, after hearing the broadcast. In St John, Rebecca is a leading cadet and, in fact, the National Cadet of the Year. She has her 1,000 hours service badge, which is extremely commendable that there's been over 1,000 hours service devoted by this young lady, and she's the regional first aid competition winner, which has, I suspect, brought her to the nationals, and certainly why she's representing the country at the internationals. Rebecca's duties as the National Cadet of the Year and her other commitments within St John take up most of her free time, which is very much expected given all of the qualifications that she's got. And as we said, she is the National Cadet of the Year for England, Guernsey, Jersey and the Isle of Man. And Rebecca joins us in the studio now. Rebecca, thanks very much for your time.
Hi.
Okay, you've been helping out here, come all the way from England to help out with the bushfire evacuation centre at Stanwell Tops. So I'd like to just ask you a few questions about that so we can explain to our viewers at home what's happening here.
Okay.
All right, so it's great to see members of St John from all around the world helping out in the current crisis, and we thank you for coming over. Could you maybe give us a brief overview of St John as an international organisation?
Yeah, St John Ambulance is an organisation which provides first aid services, professional care and high quality first aid training to young people, adults, and ranging from the age of 5 to 10 for juniors, I think it's called here, badgers in our country and cadets. We go out on duties, we help out with places like the Bushfire Recovery Centre and providing high quality first aid and teaching first aid to others to help others in the future.
Okay, and what about St John's role in Australia? Is there anything more specific that St John does in Australia?
Yeah, so the Bushfire Recovery Centre is a big thing here because in Australia you get a lot of bushfires. They provide a lot of high quality first aid services and a lot of care for people in the recovery centres, which come from places for people who've lost their homes in bad situations, and they're there to help people wherever they can. Sure.
And so how many bushfire affected people have arrived at the centre so far?
So far we have 400 people registered, but the numbers are still expected to grow.
Right.
And we've also treated 104 casualties.
Well, that was my next question, was how many casualties had you treated? Is there enough room for 400 people out there? Is it a bit squished, or?
Yeah, we're coping okay at the minute, but everything's very organised, and we think we'll be ready if any more people do come along.
Sure. So out of the 104 that you've treated today, what are some of the main injuries that have presented?
So it's mainly minor burns, ash fragments in the eyes, and a lot of respiratory complaints. So a lot of people who've got asthma have been complaining because of the smoke inhalation.
Sure.
So we're just trying to manage that mainly. But the health service are also advising that anyone who does have asthma or respiratory conditions to stay indoors and not go outside because of the smoke.
Sure. In Australia, Rebecca, there's thousands of people living in bushfire-affected areas, as you'd be aware. Perhaps you might like to offer our viewers at home some tips on how to avoid fire-related injuries.
Yes, so anyone who is still out in their own homes, you should all be wearing long-sleeved tops and long trousers, especially cotton clothes. Make sure you wear helmets if you are out there fighting the fires, sturdy shoes. And if you do get injured by the fire, if you do get any burns, make sure you go straight to the tap, keep it under there, cold running water for 20 minutes, and apply a non-stick dressing such as cling film or a clean plastic bag, anything sterile just to prevent infection.
Okay, fantastic. And what advice can you also give to our viewers about people who suffer from asthma or other breathing difficulties who live in the bushfire affected areas?
Just make sure you stay inside and don't go out into the smoke because it is dangerous. If you do feel like you are suffering from an asthma attack, make sure you have your medication on you at all times. If possible, make sure you're sitting in a comfortable position which stretches your arms out like that, so you can breathe a bit easier. But if your asthma attack does progress, make sure you get in touch with either the emergency centres, which we've got set up, for example, here, or ring 000 if it really is an urgent asthma attack.
Fantastic. So what we're hearing here, folks, is to stay indoors where possible, to put cold running water over burns, and to seek help when we're required.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Well, thanks very much for Rebecca for coming in today and talking to us, and we wish you all the very best with the Bushfire Evacuation Centre.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That was Rebecca Cruxton from the English contingent, who's over here helping us out with the Bushfire Recovery Centre at Stanwell Tops. I've just think I've heard from the auditorium a round of applause, which may mean that Canada is probably come in to start their clinical spot. So we might throw straight down there to Canada and come back possibly with some tweets after that. So down to Canada.
Do you guys want to change your bag? Go change your bag.